So it wasn't until after I broke up that relationship. So that was after college. So I've been on him ever since then. It was after college, and like I was like, okay, hold up. Okay, guys.
Real cute coming through the door.
Did you not? Like, yeah, he
All right, friends. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, A Radical Relationship, where we are talking all things faith and all things lifestyle. And today we are back with another video in our Girls Like Me series, which is really just a series where I am interviewing different women that I know, eventually women that I don't know, just about their testimonies and their stories and experiences with God, just in an effort to encourage those women who may be able to relate specifically to those stories. And today I'm joined by my dang near lifetime friend,
yes, girl.
Aja. So we can just get started out with a quick intro of name, age, where you're from, where you live, family, that kind of thing.
Yes, girl. Lifetime is facts. Lifetime. We've known each other for so long. Okay, but I get started. My name is Aja Ochie. I'm 29 years old. I'm married. I will make 3 years in March, and I am an assistant coach at Southeastern Louisiana University. And I have a 1-year-old, and then I have one on the way. I'm doing May, so I'll be a mom of 2 soon. So
mom of 2 loading.
Yes, girl.
Man, that's exciting. Yeah. So to start out with, just like providing a little bit of background information about how we know each other, and I think that this is probably like one of my favorite parts of the videos now, because it just causes me to reflect, and then I get all mushy and encouraged and all of that good stuff. Yeah. And so I feel like I was talking to my mom not too long ago, actually, because we were talking about me like always being outgoing and stuff like that. So literally my first memory is the first day that you got on the bus.
Yeah.
And my first impression was, I was like, oh, who we picking up at this big house? Who we picking up from here? You know, I'm all nosy, looking out. Stuff, and then you were on the bus, but just like quiet, composed, and then there's me like, hey, where you from? What's your name?
That's you. Yeah.
Yes. And so Aja and I grew up going to school together, and so that's really how our friendship first formed. That was back in elementary school, and then continued to progress on from there. So it's crazy, right? Just being able to reflect on that time and look to now, and you're just like, wow, the way it's changed.
I know. And I was reflecting back too. So like, it's funny because we stay like 7 minutes away from each other all of our lives. You know, that's how we grew up. And I was looking back on a time where like you would come over to the house and we would have sleepovers, and like you and Tay, your cousin, y'all, we would just have fun. Like that was just, I was thinking about like then, like now we have responsibilities, we have bills, we have all this other stuff going on. But back then, like nothing mattered. We were just girls wanting to hang out and have fun and talk and just laugh. Like, and I miss those times, but I know, you know, times moves on and we grow up, but I miss those. And yes, the bus rides, like, you just welcome me with open arms, you know, new school, new environment, but that's just you, just Shell, you know, and I love that about you. Always have loved that about you. Like, just you being you. And on the flip side, I'm so proud of you of like what you're doing. I think this is so awesome.
Thank you.
And to watch you and to see how you have grown, and now you're like impacting with this YouTube. I love it. So I'm just so proud of you. I remember when you was Michelle, now you're just like doing big things. So I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I love that point that you make about just kind of like the innocence of things, because one of the questions that I usually get into in these interviews are about, you know, friendships and how they've impacted your walk and things like that. So to look back at that time, I talk to so many people now, and it can be hard trying to form new friendships in this life stage, and it may be because of everything you got going on, or you know, we moving around to different cities, we started new jobs and that kind of thing. And it's just not as easy putting yourself out there. So to think about a time when it's like your reservations are down, you don't have your walls up, you're just like free, young, innocent,
Like,
making
what's up?
friends, and it's just cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's true. I love it. I love it.
So let's get into it a little bit with just starting out, and just kind of, if somebody asks you, hey, Aja, what's your testimony? Like, what's your God story? What would be your response to that?
Yeah, so I grew up in a godly home, grew up Baptist, so we went to church, very involved in church. So I knew God. I was surrounded by women who prayed and knew God. You know, my mom, my grandma, my aunt, my godmom, you know, spiritual women. But not until around 2012 when I got into college and I joined a college group. I figured out that I could have a relationship with God, and that was like a game changer for me. Like growing up, yes, I knew God, but like to find out that I could have a relationship and that I could really like go to God for anything and like bring to him all my problems and just sit with him and just to for him to love on me, that he loves me that much, you know, that was a game changer for me. And it's the story of my life. Like in 2012, once so I got baptized at a young age, but in 2012 I was like, okay, I'm gonna rededicate my life. I'm gonna get baptized again. And when I say I cried. That was like a life-changing moment for me, because I knew I was stepping into new, like my life was forever like changing, and it changed for the better, and that was because I told God, you know, yes, and I'm so glad I did, you know, but yeah, that was when everything changed for me, and I could see, like looking back in my life, how God has changed everything, and because I said yes at that moment and decided to like give my life to him, like it did. So I'm just thankful for God just moving in my life and him just like making a way, you know. Like high school, all that was awesome, but like going to college and like really understanding that relationship was awesome. So
Yeah, I love it. I didn't have that experience in college. It wasn't until after college that experience happened for me. And I just remember, my experience was in these one-on-one Bible studies with people just kind of opening up the scriptures to help me to see what true discipleship and true Christianity looks like.
Oh yeah.
Out, you know, not just this idea that you've been taught growing up, but like, you know, what are the biblical standards? And I just remember having this big like, what the heck have I been doing moment?
Yeah.
You know, like to your point, growing up Christian and kind of not being perfect, but by the world standards, being perfect, you know, like not committing the huge sins, you know, and you could look at our lives and feel like, oh, they got it together, you know, they're good girls, they're good women. And so to like compare that to the Bible though, and it was like, actually, no. So when you had that moment in college and your eyes were kind of being open to that, was it through Bible studies? Was it conversations with different people? Like what was kind of the mechanism for the ways that God was opening your eyes?
Honestly, so I joined this college group. I had I'll go back. I had two friends that one was a teammate, one was a Sky friend. Their name was Taylor and Terrence. And so they were strong Christians, and he would like come over, me and Taylor were roommates. He would come over, they would like have like Bible study and just talk about God, you know. And I never really like sat and like talked about God like that. So it drew me in. And then so Terrence, he invited us to this college group. So I joined this college group, and first day it was awesome. And this guy that spoke, he gave this prophetic word, and it like rocked me. And I'm like, man, he's like on point. Like I never had a prophetic word, didn't know the prophetic. But I was like, man, this is awesome. I love this. And he would just speak to me like encouraging words that God would speak over me and talk to me about my future. And so that did rock me. And ever since then, like I wanted more. Like I wanted to hear from God. I wanted to like spent time with him. I was like, man, I love this. I was just like real thirsty for it. And so I grew in that college group. I got connected, and in that college group, it was like a lot of, I didn't realize like so many people like were thirsty like how I was, you know? It's like, oh, like, I don't, what I'm trying to say is like, it was a lot of people in that college group that loves God and chase God, and I had never like been around that. So it was awesome to see like a group of people around my age that loves God just as much and that wanted to know more about God. And it was a group of Black friends, like, you know, like I was like, wow, like this is awesome. I love this. I love us like chasing God and like wanting more. So I would say that community that I was able to grow with and build with was huge. And then I was able to like understand the relationship more, and like, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'm all in. Like, I love this. So I would say the community, having those friends. Of course, my two friends that I would see like having Bible study and like talking about God. And so they invited me to the college group, and I was like, okay, like this is cool. Like, I like this. People coming together who's like, you know, you don't have to be like, you don't have to be like considered lame because like you follow Christ. You know, like we were like, yeah, what's up, God? Like we.
Exactly. I was literally just having that conversation with someone earlier this week studying the Bible, and I was just saying, like, one thing that I feel really passionate about, and even that this series is rooted in, is helping people see this God thing lived out every day.
Yeah.
It's corny. It ain't this super religious, you know,
It's
but
not.
but being just really passionate and just being human. Like, it ain't that deep, y'all. I mean, it is, but it ain't, you know.
No.
And we like
It's
still
not.
like to have fun, still like to be cute, you know, all of these.
Yeah, cute and girl talk. Come on, we can talk.
Exactly.
We can talk about God.
Now, what was it that made you feel like you needed to get baptized a second time since you had been baptized before?
At the time I was going to this church, and like I was saying earlier, I was like super fired up. So I was like learning about their relationship, and honestly, so it was this New Year's service, and I was sitting there, and every year this church has like baptisms going into the new year. And I was there with two other my teammates, and they was talking service about how you know, important it is to like give your life to Christ. And then he said you can either rededicate your life, and you know, when like, okay, so God like gives me this burning feeling when like, all right, God, I feel you, I gotta go. And that was what it was, and I just knew that that was something that I had to do at that moment, at that time. Just saying like, yes, God, you know, at that moment. And I did. I was like, yes, God, like, I'm gonna do this. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock with you. So I did that, and I went up and I got baptized. You know, I said that I wanted to do it because you walk up front or whatever. And going back to the day that they baptized me, which was right before the new year, I was like, I said earlier, like I was just crying, and I wasn't like trying to cry, but it was like, it wasn't sad tears, it was happy tears. It was like joy almost. Like I couldn't stop crying. The tears was falling, but it was tears of like joy, because I was stepping like into this new time. Like I was just ready to. And yeah, I never forget that moment. Like that was one of those moments where I was, and I can see like, because I did that, like I can see like God moving, and how he orchestrated my life after that. Like it was because of that yes that I gave him that day. So yeah, it's powerful. It's still powerful to this day.
And that's a great segue, because I wanted to ask about after making that decision, and specifically even with baptism, how did you see your life change after that?
Well, for one, I was in this relationship all throughout college. Ever since my freshman year into my senior year, I was in this relationship. So I graduated college in 2013. I rededicated my life in 2012. So I was in a relationship with this guy. You know, he was sweet or whatever, But I did see like how God was like changing like my whole mindset for like a relationship.
Yeah.
And one day God was like, okay, well, pretty much telling me to break it off, and I was real connected. That was 5 years. I was real connected to the family. I was friends. He played football. I played basketball. So like the athletics was like, it was all a big circle or whatever. So I was like, man, God, you sure? Like, because once you say yes, God's like, all right, girl, let's go. And he did.
Holding you accountable.
Yeah. All right, girl. So like, yeah, he told me like to break it off. So I'm like, okay. Like I said, yes, God. I said, let's do this. So I'm like, I'm gonna obey. And it was a hard decision. It was. I knew what I was gonna do. It was hard to actually do it. But when I did it, girl, it was so much peace. It was like a relief. It was what I was supposed to do. And because of that, because I made that decision and listened to God and told him yes, I was able to get greater, and I have seen that all throughout my life. Just me like letting go of things. With me letting go of things, God always like provides greater. And that's just God. Like I could settle with what I have, but God has even more for me,
Right.
So just throughout my life, just saying, God, like, all right, God, I hear you. I'm about to do this, and me saying yes and like actually doing it despite of who feelings I hurt or who may disagree, this is what God wants for my life. So, and that's because I made that decision in 2012, like, God, like I'm rocking with you, So despite of who I hurt and whoever disagrees, like whatever God says, like I'm rolling with it. And, you can either rock with it or not, but
in that part, you can rock with it or not, that part, because I went through a similar phase during my transformation as well, where I wasn't in a relationship at the time, but there was just all of these situationships that were like right here, that I'm still trying to figure out. Like we still communicating, so I'm gonna figure out like what this gonna look like. And now that I'm going through this whole transformation thing, I'm trying to figure out where, if at all, you fit into it. I'm evaluating
exactly
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so I was trying to maneuver those conversations in a way that I was like, I'm not trying to be rude, but it really is what it is, because I felt, when you feel compelled and you just know it's God, and you're in that initial space, it truly is all or nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I do feel like there were times where I made mistakes being too much, but it was because I was fired up, And so I've reflected on, like, unfortunately, the older that we get in physical age and spiritual age, sometimes we lose that because we learn to be more fearful and we try to hold on more to the things that we feel like are going to make us comfortable. But reflecting on times like this, when it was like, but remember when, like, and like, I'm gonna let go because I know that there's better,
That's it.
But in our age, like I said, both physically and spiritually, we can learn to fear. So we try to control the situation. So I love reflecting on times when I had that attitude. Like, it is what it is. Get with it.
And God always, I always reflect on that certain situation. Like later on, let's say later, farther on in life. Like there's always a situation where I have to let go of something. Like always. And like God always reminds me, like, remember this, I had you, I got you, like you're good. It's gonna be for your greater good. Like you're good, So I love reflecting on those situations. Like God, as hard as I say that situation was, like it was the best. I mean, it was what I needed to do. Like, and now I can look back on that and reflect on that and know that God is good. Like He has me.
Yeah. So how long was it from the point that you made that decision to let the relationship go until meeting your now husband? Or did you already know your husband? Y'all just wasn't involved at that time? How did that work out?
I did know him. So he was part of that college group that I told you that we all clicked. Yeah, girl, but so he came to Southeastern a year after me, and so I knew him. Like he hooped, like I hooped, like he was cool. He was my godly friend, like he was part of that group. So it wasn't until after I broke up that relationship. So that was after college. So I've been knowing him ever since then. It was after college, and like I was like, okay, hold up. Okay, guys.
Real cute coming through the door.
Did you not? Like, yeah, he and it all made sense. Like he hooped, I hooped, like we both love God. We both were like on fire for God. And so like I wasn't really very pushy about it. I was still like his like friend in a sense, but it all kind of like flowed. Like I guess God opened his eyes too at the time because he knew that I've been in a relationship, So then I guess at the same time, God kind of opened both of our eyes, like,
cool.
God, is this like, cause he was single too. So like it might have been like 8 months later, cause he went to go play overseas right when I broke up with my boyfriend. So like I was in that single stage. I was like focused on God. And so he came back in April because of an injury. And so he would like all of a sudden reach out to, like we would text here and there, like how's overseas, because we were cool, we were friends.